Last Tuesday night at 9:47 p.m., a guy named Cole in Jacksonville, Florida, was 3 episodes deep into a show he'd already seen twice. His girlfriend was asleep on the other end of the couch. A bowl of popcorn was going stale on the coffee table. And at that exact moment, a family at a gas station 11 miles away was feeding dollar bills into a machine he owns. A machine that makes ice. Bags of ice. The kind you throw in a cooler before a fishing trip or a backyard barbecue. By the time Cole finished his episode and checked his phone, $74 had come in since dinner. Nobody called him. Nobody emailed him. The machine just sat there on a concrete pad next to a gas pump, freezing water, bagging it, and collecting cash from strangers who needed something cold. That is not a fantasy. That is what happens when you build a business that doesn't need you to be present in order to operate. After studying the businesses with the highest survival rates and the lowest daily time demands, I found 9 that genuinely generate income while the owner is doing something else entirely. Watching television, sleeping, sitting in traffic, taking their kid to soccer practice. It doesn't matter. The revenue doesn't care about your schedule. Some of these are going to sound so simple you'll think I'm joking. Others are hiding in plain sight in places you drive past every week without a second thought. And the last one on this list has quietly produced more hands-off wealth than almost any trendy startup you've seen promoted on social media. And most people don't even know it exists as a business model. My name is John. Let's get into it. Business 9, ice vending machines. Let's start with the one I just told you about. An ice vending machine is exactly what it sounds like. A large, freestanding unit, usually placed on a concrete pad outside a gas station, convenience store, or grocery store parking lot, that makes ice on site, bags it automatically, and sells it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No employees, no storefront, no overhead except electricity and water. The U.S. packaged ice market is worth approximately $3.5 billion, according to IBISWorld. And the ice vending segment is growing at 8% to 10% annually, as these machines replace the old model of ice delivery trucks and gas station freezer bags from distributors. A single, well-placed ice vending machine generates $2,000 to $5,000 per month in gross revenue. After electricity, water, location rent, and maintenance, the net profit lands between $1,500 and $3,500 per month. Here's why those margins are borderline absurd. The raw material is water. The cost to produce a 20-pound bag of ice is roughly 0.15 to 0.25. You sell that bag for $1.50 to $3. That's a gross margin north of 85%. The machine runs on its own. A remote monitoring app alerts you if the water filter needs changing or the bin is full. You visit the machine 2 to 3 times a week, mostly to check things over and collect cash if it's not fully cashless. The startup cost is $25,000 to $50,000 per machine, turnkey installed. Some operators lease for $1,000 to $2,000 a month to reduce the upfront hit. Let's do the simple math. An operator with 5 machines netting $2,500 each is clearing $2,500 a month. That's $150,000 a year from frozen water. At 10:30 on a Friday night, someone heading to a lake house pulls into a gas station and buys 3 bags. You're on your couch watching a documentary about penguins. The machine doesn't care. And here's something almost nobody tells you about ice vending. The demand is seasonal in the best possible way. Summer months, from May through September, see revenue spike 40% to 60% above winter baseline. But even in winter, the machines don't stop. Restaurants need ice. Convenience stores need ice. Fish markets need ice. The baseline revenue never disappears. It just gets better during the months when everyone else is complaining about the heat. A YouTube interview with an ice vending operator showed him running 5 machines clearing $12,000 to $15,000 per month total, with about 10 hours per week of work. That's roughly $2.50 per minute of actual labor. Compare that to any hourly job you've ever had. Business 8, Billboard and outdoor advertising, space rental. This one is so boring it's almost invisible. You own a structure, a billboard, on a piece of land near a highway or a busy road. You sell advertising space on that structure to local businesses. They pay you monthly. The sign just sits there. You don't touch it. You don't maintain a website. You don't run customer service. The advertiser's logo faces traffic and your bank account gets a deposit. The U.S. outdoor advertising market is valued at approximately $8.6 billion, according to Statista. Digital out-of-home advertising, the segment with electronic rotating displays, is projected to reach $45 billion globally by 2030, according to Grand View Research. A traditional static billboard in a secondary market earns $750 to $1,500 per month per face. In a prime metro location, that number jumps to $3,000 to $15,000 per month. A digital billboard that rotates 6 to 8 advertisers simultaneously can generate $5,000 to $20,000 per month total. Here's what nobody tells you. The startup cost for a basic wooden billboard structure on leased highway land is $2,000 to $10,000. Frank Rolfe, one of the most well-known billboard investors in the country, has documented his journey starting with a single billboard he built for under $2,000 and scaling to a portfolio generating over $1 million per year. The operating costs are almost comically low. You pay a land lease, maybe $100 to $500 per month. You change the vinyl ad copy once every few months, which costs $200 to $500. That's it. No employees, no inventory, no perishable goods, no technology stack to maintain. Digital billboards are a different game, $100,000 to $300,000 to install, but they multiply revenue by allowing multiple rotating advertisers on a single structure. The profit margins on billboards sit between 60% and 80% after land lease and minimal maintenance. And once the advertiser signs a 6-month or 12-month contract, you don't think about that billboard again until it's time to renew. It earns money in the rain. It earns money at 2 a.m. when trucks roll past on the highway. It earns money while you binge an entire season of whatever just dropped on streaming. The sign doesn't need your attention. It just needs traffic. And traffic never stops. Business 7, bounce house and party equipment rentals. I know what you're thinking. Bounce houses? That's a business? It is. And a surprisingly lucrative one. The U.S. party rental industry is valued at approximately $6.4 billion, according to IBISWorld. The inflatable amusement segment specifically is one of the fastest growing subsegments, with the global market projected to reach $4.2 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. Here's how it works. You buy 3 to 5 commercial-grade inflatable bounce houses for $2,000 to $5,000 each. You list them on your website, Facebook Marketplace, Google Business Profile, and party rental directories. A parent books one for their kid's birthday party on Saturday. You or a crew member delivers it in the morning, sets it up in 20 minutes, and picks it up that evening. Each rental charges $200 to $500 per day. A single bounce house rented 3 times per week generates $2,400 to $6,000 per month. The profit margins sit between 60% and 80% after insurance and wear costs. Here's the part that shifts this from active hustle to semi-passive income. Once you have 8 to 12 units and enough bookings, you hire a delivery crew, 2 guys with a trailer. They handle setup and pickup. You handle bookings through an automated scheduling platform that takes deposits, sends contracts, and collects digital waivers without you touching anything. The parent books online at 11 p.m. The system confirms, charges the card, sends the waiver. You wake up to a calendar full of confirmed bookings and a crew that handles the rest. One operator on the Sweaty Startup subreddit reported scaling to $150,000 per year in revenue with a team doing all deliveries while he managed the business from his laptop. The equipment lasts 3 to 5 years with proper care. The demand spikes every weekend from April through October. And while your bounce houses are inflated in someone's backyard, you're sitting in yours. Here's the detail that makes this business especially attractive. The seasonal demand creates a natural rhythm. You work hard from April through October when the bookings are constant. Then November through March slows down, giving you months to maintain equipment, plan marketing, and enjoy the cash reserves you built during peak season. Think about it like this. You're running a business that works the same schedule as a school teacher, but pays like a small contractor. The weekends are where the money lives. And most of those weekends, you're not even there. Your crew is. You're checking your booking dashboard between episodes of whatever everyone's talking about this week. Business 6, cargo trailer rentals. This is one of the quietest cash flow businesses in the country, and almost nobody talks about it. You buy enclosed cargo trailers, the kind contractors, DIY movers, and weekend warriors use to haul furniture, equipment, or supplies. You list them on Neighbor.com, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or your own simple website. Renters pick up the trailer, use it for a day or a week, and bring it back. The U.S. trailer rental and leasing industry is valued at approximately $2.8 billion, according to IBISWorld. Demand is driven by people who need temporary hauling capacity but don't want to buy a trailer they'll use twice a year. Here's the math. A used enclosed cargo trailer costs $3,000 to $7,000. You rent it for $50 to $100 per day or $500 to $1,500 per month. One trailer rented 20 days a month at $75 per day generates $1,500 in gross revenue. The operating costs are almost nothing. Trailers don't have engines. They don't burn fuel. They don't need oil changes. Maintenance is tires, lights, and an occasional floor repair. The profit margin on a trailer rental operation sits between 70% and 85%. A starter fleet of 5 trailers at $5,000 each is a $25,000 investment generating $5,000 to $7,500 per month. One operator on the Bigger Pockets forum described running a 20-trailer fleet generating over $15,000 per month with minimal daily involvement. He set up a self-serve pickup system with lockboxes and GPS trackers. Renters sign a digital contract, get the combination, and grab the trailer from a lot. No face-to-face interaction required. Here's what most people don't realize about this business. A trailer sitting on a lot costs you almost nothing. It doesn't depreciate like a car. It doesn't require insurance as expensive as a vehicle fleet. And when a contractor texts you at 7 a.m. on a Monday asking for a trailer, your automated booking system already handled it while you were asleep. The trailer earns. You don't. Business 5, online course creation. Here's where the internet delivers on its original promise. You know something. Maybe it's Excel formulas, guitar chords, dog training, photography, lighting, financial modeling. You record yourself teaching it. You upload it to a platform like Udemy, Teachable, or Skillshare. And then something remarkable happens. A student in Singapore enrolls at 3 a.m. your time. The platform processes the payment. The course delivers automatically. You wake up to a new sale notification. The global e-learning market is valued at $399 billion in 2026 and projected to reach $725 billion by 2030, according to Grandview Research and Statista. Udemy alone has over 75 million students and 220,000 courses. Teachable has paid out over $1 billion to course creators since launching. The startup cost is functionally $0 to $500, a decent microphone, screen recording software, Canva for slides. The platform handles hosting, payments, and delivery. Here's the pattern that separates the people who earn $50 a month from the people who earn $5,000 a month. Volume. One course is a lottery ticket. 4 or 5 well-structured courses on related topics become a catalog that cross-sells. A creator on the passive income subreddit reported earning $3,500 per month from 4 Udemy courses with 0 ongoing work. A Teachable case study featured a creator earning over $100,000 per year from a single course on financial modeling. The margins are almost embarrassing. 80% to 95% profit after platform fees, because the marginal cost of selling one more copy of a digital course is 0. No shipping, no inventory, no warehouse. The course you recorded last January is still enrolling students this July. Bo Easton wrote in, "There's no plan B for your A game," that the most valuable thing you can build is something that multiplies your effort beyond the hours you personally put in. A course does exactly that. You teach once, you get paid indefinitely. At 2 now a.m., someone on the other side of the planet is learning from a version of you that was recorded months ago. You're on your couch, watching a thriller. The platform is running, the income is compounding, and the student never knows the difference. Here's the part that most aspiring course creators miss. The topic doesn't have to be glamorous. Some of the highest earning courses on Udemy aren't about marketing or personal development. They're about Microsoft Excel shortcuts, SQL database queries, QuickBooks for small businesses, boring, practical, skills-based content that people need for their jobs. The demand for that content doesn't fluctuate with trends. It's as steady as gravity. And here's one more layer that makes this powerful. Udemy's algorithm works like YouTube's. Once a course gets reviews and enrollments, the platform pushes it to more students organically. That means the course you created 2 years ago can start selling better in year 3 than it did in year 1 because the algorithm finally caught up with the social proof. You did the work once, the system keeps amplifying it. Business 4, arcade and amusement machine placement. You walk into a bowling alley and there's a claw machine in the corner. You walk into a pizza restaurant and there's a basketball shooter next to the restrooms. You walk into a movie theater lobby and there's a photo booth with ring lights. Somebody owns those machines. And that somebody is collecting money from every customer who drops in $1 or taps their card without being present, without managing employees, and often without even visiting the location more than once a week. The global amusement machine market is valued at approximately $10.5 billion, according to Allied Market Research. The U.S. coin-operated amusement devices industry generates approximately $3.2 billion annually, according to IBISWorld. The photo booth segment alone is projected to reach $1.1 billion globally by 2028. Here's how the business works. You buy a claw machine for $1,500 to $4,000, or a commercial photo booth for $3,000 to $8,000. You approach a venue owner, a bar, a mall, a family entertainment center, and propose a revenue share. They give you floor space. You give them 20% to 40% of gross revenue. The machine sits there and does its job. A single claw machine in a high-traffic spot generates $500 to $800 per month gross. A photo booth in a busy mall or bar generates $200 to $2,000 per month. After the venue's cut and prize costs, your net per machine is $200 to $1,200 per month, depending on location and type. Let's do the simple math. A fleet of 15 machines averaging $500 net each generates $7,500 per month. An operator on the sweaty startup subreddit described running exactly this setup. 15 claw machines across various locations, restocking prizes, and collecting earnings once per week. Total time commitment, roughly 10 hours per week. The remaining 158 hours, the machines are working. He's not. Here's what I find fascinating about this business. The machine earns the most money on Friday and Saturday nights, when families are out, when people are waiting for their movie to start, when someone at a bar says, "Watch me win that stuffed penguin." You know what you're doing on Friday and Saturday nights? Whatever you want. The machine doesn't need your permission to collect revenue. It just needs a power outlet and foot traffic. Business 3, FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. This is the model that turned tens of thousands of ordinary people into e-commerce operators without ever touching a cardboard box. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. Here's the deal. You find a product, either a private label item you source from a manufacturer or a wholesale product from a distributor. You ship it in bulk to Amazon's warehouses. Amazon stores it, lists it, packs it, ships it to the customer, handles returns, and manages customer service. Your job is to pick the product and keep inventory flowing. Amazon's third-party marketplace accounts for 60% of all Amazon sales, over $400 billion in annual gross merchandise volume, according to Amazon's own reporting. There are approximately 2 million active third-party sellers globally, with around 300,000 doing over $100,000 per year in sales. The startup cost ranges from $2,000 to $15,000, depending on whether you go wholesale or private label. Wholesale lets you start smaller. Private label requires product development and typically $5,000 to $15,000 in initial inventory. The profit margins net out at 15% to 30% after product cost, shipping, Amazon fees, and PPC advertising. Top sellers with optimized listings hit 35% to 40%. Here's the overnight mechanic. A customer in Phoenix orders your product at midnight. Amazon picks it from the shelf, packs it in a box, prints a label, and ships it. You're watching a cooking show. You didn't know the order existed until you checked your dashboard the next morning. One seller on the Fulfillment by Amazon subreddit described running an 8 SKU wholesale operation, generating $40,000 per month in revenue, with $12,000 in monthly profit, spending about 1 hour per day on the business. The Wholesale Formula podcast has featured sellers doing $500,000 to $2 million per year with just 1 to 2 virtual assistants handling daily operations. The upfront work is real. Product research, supplier negotiations, listing optimization. But once the flywheel is spinning, Amazon's 175 fulfillment centers across the country become your warehouse, your shipping department, and your customer service team. You built the system. Amazon runs it. And the orders come in at all hours because the internet never closes. And here's an insight that experienced FBA sellers always mention. The real passive income with this model comes from understanding replenishment. Once you find 5 to 10 products that sell consistently, your entire job becomes reordering inventory before it runs out. That's a 30-minute task you do twice a month. The rest of the time, Amazon's logistics network is doing what it was built to do. The customer thinks they're buying from Amazon. They have no idea there's a person in Ohio or Georgia or Texas who sourced that product, shipped it to a warehouse 6 months ago, and hasn't thought about it since. That person is watching Netflix right now, and the orders keep coming. Now we're entering the final 2. And here's where it gets interesting. These last businesses require a bit more capital up front, but the passive income they generate once they're running is on a different level entirely. Business 2, equipment rental. Here's a business that most people think is only for giant corporations like United Rentals or Sunbelt. It's not. Small independent equipment rental operators are everywhere, and they're quietly printing money. You buy equipment, mini excavators, skid steers, generators, scissor lifts, tables, chairs, tents for events, even specialty items like concrete saws or commercial floor cleaners. You rent that equipment to contractors, event planners, homeowners, and small businesses who need it temporarily. The U.S. equipment rental industry is valued at approximately $65 billion, according to the American Rental Association. The industry is projected to grow at 4.5% annually through 2028. And small-scale equipment rental, serving contractors and homeowners, is one of the fastest-growing subsegments. Here's the financial picture. A used mini excavator costs $15,000 to $30,000. You rent it for $300 to $500 per day. If it's rented 15 to 20 days per month, that's $4,500 to $10,000 in monthly revenue from a single machine. Event rental equipment is even more accessible. A starter kit of 50 tables, 200 chairs, and 2 tents costs $8,000 to $15,000 and generates $8,000 to $12,000 per month during peak season. The profit margins sit between 40% and 60% after depreciation, maintenance, insurance, and occasional repairs. An operator on the sweaty startup subreddit described buying 3 mini excavators and renting them for $350 per day, generating over $20,000 per month gross revenue with a part-time employee handling deliveries. Nick Huber, on his Sweaty Startup podcast, has featured equipment rental as one of the top semi-passive business models for exactly this reason. The equipment does the earning. You manage the logistics. Platforms like Fat Llama and even Facebook Marketplace make listing and booking simple. And here's the key insight. Once the equipment is paid off, which typically takes 12 to 18 months of consistent rentals, every dollar of revenue after costs is pure margin. The excavator sitting on a job site at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday doesn't know you're at home eating dinner. It's on a weekly rental. It's earning. You're not lifting a finger. There's a deeper principle here that applies to every business on this list but shows up most clearly in equipment rental. The asset you buy replaces the hours you'd otherwise sell. Josh Kaufman writes in The Personal MBA that one of the most reliable paths to financial independence is acquiring income-producing assets that work harder than you physically can. A mini excavator can be rented out to 3 different contractors in a single week. You can't personally dig 3 different foundations in a week. But the machine can. It multiplied your earning capacity beyond the limits of your own body. That's not just a business model. That's a fundamentally different relationship with money. And that brings us to business number 1, the one I mentioned at the very top. The one that has quietly built more hands-off wealth than almost any trendy startup you've seen on social media. And the one that most people drive past every single week without ever realizing it's someone's entire income. Business 1, RV and boat storage lots, not a fancy facility, not a climate-controlled building, a fenced piece of land with gravel, a security camera, and painted parking lines. That's it. You own or lease a parcel of land in a suburban or semi-rural area where land is relatively cheap. You fence it. You lay down gravel. You install a gate with a keypad and a security camera. Then you rent out parking spots to people who own RVs, boats, trailers, and large vehicles they can't keep at home. There are approximately 11.2 million registered RVs in the United States, according to the RV Industry Association. The industry shipped 364,000 new units in 2024 alone. And here's the detail that creates the entire business opportunity. Most HOAs and municipal codes prohibit parking RVs and boats on residential streets or driveways. Homeowners need somewhere to put them, and they'll pay $100 to $250 per month for a spot on a fenced lot. The global RV and boat storage market is valued at approximately $3.28 billion in 2026 and projected to reach $8.48 billion by 2035, growing at 12.5% annually. One operator on the real estate investing subreddit described buying a 2-acre parcel for $80,000, spending $30,000 on fencing, gravel, and cameras, and renting 40 spots at $125 per month. That's $5,000 per month in gross revenue from a $110,000 total investment. Annual gross of $60,000. After property taxes, insurance, and minimal upkeep, the net sits around $45,000 to $50,000 per year. The profit margin is between 70% and 85% because the operating costs are laughably low. No buildings to maintain, no utilities to provide, beyond a camera system. No employees for a small lot. A Bigger Pockets podcast episode featured an investor who built an RV storage operation generating $200,000 per year with less than 5 hours per week of management. Here's the thesis behind this business. Once someone parks their RV or boat on your lot, they don't move it for months, sometimes years. They set up autopay. They forget about the trailer until Memorial Day weekend. You collect rent every single month from an asset that requires no heating, no plumbing, no repairs, and no customer interaction beyond an occasional email. Keith Cunningham writes in The Road Less Stupid that the best businesses are the ones that generate revenue from assets that don't complain, don't call in sick, and don't need supervision. A gravel lot with a fence is that asset. At midnight on a Tuesday, 40 RVs and boats are sitting on your property. Not one of them needs anything from you, but every one of them is paying you. You're 4 episodes into a show you probably shouldn't still be watching. The lot doesn't care. Now let me tell you what connects every single business on this list. None of them require your presence to generate revenue. Every one of them front loads the work, buying the machine, building the course, sourcing the product, fencing the lot, and then shifts into a model where the system earns on its own schedule, not yours. Here's the part most people get wrong. They hear, make money while you watch Netflix, and they think it means no effort. It doesn't mean that. It means the effort and the earning happen at different times. You spend Saturday setting up a claw machine in a bowling alley. The claw machine earns Tuesday through Sunday while you're living your life. You spend 3 weeks recording an online course. The course earns for 3 years while you sleep. The work is divorced from the income. And that separation is the single most powerful financial concept that most people never act on. Think about what that means for a moment. Every traditional job, every freelance gig, every consulting engagement ties your income to your presence. When you stop showing up, the money stops arriving. But every business on this list breaks that rule. The ice machine doesn't know it's Saturday. The billboard doesn't know you're on vacation. The trailers don't care that you're asleep. The arcade machines keep collecting quarters during your kids' school play. You built them, you placed them, you set them up, and now they run on a clock that has nothing to do with yours. Carl Richards writes in The Behavior Gap that the biggest obstacle to wealth isn't a lack of knowledge. It's a failure to act on knowledge you already have. You already know that trading hours for dollars has a ceiling. You already know that a system that runs without you is worth more than a skill that requires you. You already know this. The question is whether you'll do something about it. Let me give you two people. Trevor was 31 when he decided he wanted out of the corporate grind. He spent 14 months building a freelance consulting business. He was good at it. He had 6 retainer clients billing $15,000 a month. But every dollar required his time, his attention, and his energy. If he took a week off, the revenue paused. He was earning well, but he was the engine. Without him, nothing moved. His neighbor Grace was 29 when she bought 4 used cargo trailers for $18,000 total. She listed them on Facebook Marketplace and Neighbor.com with a self-serve lockbox system and GPS trackers. Month 1, the 4 trailers generated $2,800. Nobody was impressed. Trevor made more in a single billing cycle than Grace made in 3 months. But by year 2, Grace had 14 trailers across 2 counties. Her monthly revenue hit $12,600. She managed bookings from her phone, mostly on Sunday evenings while watching reality TV. Renters picked up and returned trailers without ever meeting her. Trevor still earned more, but Trevor couldn't eat dinner without checking his email. Grace's phone buzzed at dinner too, but it was a Stripe deposit notification, not a client asking for a revision at 8 p.m. The question isn't which of these businesses pays the most per hour. The question is which one separates your income from your physical presence so completely that the money comes in whether you're working, sleeping, or watching the same show for the 3rd time. And here's the uncomfortable truth behind this entire video. The businesses on this list aren't complicated. Not a single one of them requires a computer science degree or a trust fund or a Silicon Valley connection. They require a decision. The decision to build something that earns independently of your schedule instead of something that chains your income to your calendar. Most people will watch this video, nod, and go back to their routine. A few will actually start. And in 18 months, those few will be sitting on their couch on a Tuesday night watching something they probably shouldn't still be watching, and their phone will buzz. Not a text from their boss, not an email from a client, a deposit notification from a machine, or a lot, or a course, or a claw machine in a bowling alley they haven't visited in 2 weeks. That's the difference between knowing and doing. Every business on this list runs at midnight without asking your permission. That's the whole point. The money doesn't care if you're binge watching. Build something that agrees. If this video made you rethink how income works, hit that like button. It genuinely helps, more than you'd think. Subscribe if you want more videos about real businesses that build wealth without chaining you to a desk. Tell me in the comments which of these 9 businesses you'd actually start first, or which one surprised you the most. I read every single comment. I'm John, and I'll see you in the next one.